Stadium lights cut through the autumn darkness, casting harsh shadows across the practice field. Whistles blow. Bodies collide. The Westlake Warriors run drills with military precision while their coaches bark orders from the sidelines. Off to the side, away from the action. Kevin Chen adjusts his glasses and stares intently at his tablet. His fingers fly across the screen, mapping plays, tracking patterns, calculating odds. No one notices him until he approaches Coach Patterson with his findings. "Not now, Chen." The coach dismisses without even looking at the tablet. Kevin retreats, shoulders slumped, clutching his digital lifeline. From midfield, Blake Mitchell, Golden Boy quarterback and team captain, nudges his teammate Tyler. "Look at calculator, kid, thinking he knows football better than we do." Blake laughs loud enough for Kevin to hear. "Bet he's just playing Pokemon Go." Snickers ripple through the team. Kevin pretends not to hear, but his knuckles whiten around the tablet's edge. This is routine for him. The jokes, the dismissals, the isolation. He's the team's unwanted stepchild, tolerated only because his statistical analysis occasionally produces results. After practice, the locker room transforms into Kevin's personal hell. Steam billows from the showers as players snap towels and trade stories. Kevin sits alone, updating his notes when Tyler deliberately bumps his arm. The tablet clatters to the floor, screen cracking on impact. "Oops. Butterfingers." Tyler grins, making no move to help. "That's the third one this semester," Kevin says quietly, checking the damage. Blake emerges from the shower area, towel wrapped around his waist. "Problem, Chen?" "Just trying to help the team win." "Help?" Blake snorts. "When's the last time you took a hit? Ran wind sprints? This isn't math club, genius." The locker room falls silent, players sensing entertainment. "Tell you what," Blake continues, eyes gleaming with malice. "Let's see if you can actually play the game you think you know so much about." Minutes later, Kevin stands awkwardly in ill-fitting pads on the darkened practice field. The team forms, a predatory circle around him. Football 101 Chen. Tackling drills. What follows is humiliation disguised as initiation. Tyler charges. Kevin stumbles. His glasses fly off. The team roars with laughter. Kevin's breathing becomes labored. He reaches desperately for his inhaler in his bag. But Blake gets there first, dumping the contents onto the grass. Among scattered papers, a black notebook slides out, filled with handwritten notes no one was meant to see. The offensive line squeezes into the film room the next morning, bodies spilling over chairs. Designed for average students, Coach Patterson flips through his notes, glancing repeatedly at the empty seat where Kevin should be. No explanation, no text, no email. Just absence. Blake and Tyler exchange knowing looks, remembering the disturbing notebook they discovered last night. "Dude's probably too embarrassed to show his face," Blake whispers. But beneath his bravado lurks uneasiness. Those pages weren't normal. Detailed personal information about every player, their routines, their weaknesses. What kind of freak keeps notes like that? The morning passes without incident. Afternoon practice begins under clear skies. Still, no sign of Kevin. The team runs drills with renewed focus, a collective exhale at his absence. Midway through scrimmage, Devin Williams, their star receiver, cuts sharply on a slant route and collapses, screaming. His knee bends at an impossible angle. "Shit! Shit!" Devin pounds the turf. Something snapped. Practice halts. Trainers rush in. They carry him off as his screams fade to whimpers. The team gathers, shaken, watching their championship hopes limp away on a stretcher. Turf must be uneven. Coach mutters, inspecting the spot where Devin fell. Nothing seems amiss. Practice resumes with subdued energy. Back in the locker room, Tyler discovers his cleats missing. Then Jason can't find his playbook. Small annoyances cascade. Showers running cold. Combinations changed on locks. equipment rearranged. The team chalks it up to disorganized staff. Later that night, Jason stares at his phone in confusion. 3 missed calls from an unknown number. A text arrives. "You shouldn't have laughed." Then another. "I saw what you did." "Blake," Jason calls across the dorm room they share. "You messing with me?" Blake's about to answer when his own phone vibrates. A text from a different unknown number. "Sweet dreams, Captain." At midnight, Blake jolts awake to his buzzing phone. A video plays. Footage of himself, asleep in bed, filmed from inside his own room. The angle shows someone standing over him, watching. The timestamp shows it was taken just 10 minutes ago. Blake panics, switching on lights, checking closets, looking under beds. Nothing. No one. His roommate sleeps soundly across the room. Another text arrives. "Now I know your fears too." Morning comes with the team in disarray. Blake shows the video to Tyler and the others, faces pale with disbelief. "It's got to be Kevin." Tyler insists, pacing the locker room. "That creepy little psycho is messing with us." "But how?" Jason asks. "How'd he get into your room? How's he getting our numbers?" No one has answers, just theories and growing anxiety. Coach Patterson notices the tension but attributes it to Devin's injury. Their star receiver is out for the season. ACL, MCL, meniscus, all shredded on what team doctors called a routine cut. The timing couldn't be worse with conference games approaching. As practice begins, Blake freezes mid-stride. Kevin sits quietly in the stands, tablet in hand, watching them. His presence feels like an accusation. The hell is he doing here? Tyler snarls, starting toward the stands. "Leave it," Blake warns, grabbing his arm. "Don't give him the satisfaction." Throughout practice, Kevin remains motionless, watching, taking notes. His stillness more unnerving than any threat. When Tyler finally approaches him, Kevin merely smiles. A tight, knowing expression that makes Tyler's skin crawl. "Got something to say, freak?" Tyler demands. Kevin adjusts his glasses, newly repaired. "Just doing my job. Analyzing weaknesses. Everyone has them, you know." "Is that a threat?" Another smile. "Why would I threaten my own team?" That evening, 6 players find their car tires slashed in the parking lot. Campus security investigates but finds nothing on surveillance footage. Just inexplicable static during the precise time frame of the vandalism. The next day, players discover their playbooks shredded in their lockers. Someone has written, "Watching you," across the torn pages. Coach Patterson explodes, demanding answers, suspecting rival teams of sabotage. Paranoia spreads like infection. Players begin accusing each other. Old rivalries resurfacing. Who's working with Kevin? Is Kevin working alone? How is he doing this? Blake receives a package in his mailbox. Inside, his own jersey, torn to shreds, with a note. "Team Spirit." The handwriting matches no one he knows. That night, Blake's phone chimes with a video attachment from another unknown number. Heart pounding, he opens it. The footage shows Blake and teammates surrounding Kevin on the field, forcing him into oversized pads, laughing as he falls, gasping for his inhaler. But no one was recording that night. No phones were out. The caption beneath the video, "You shouldn't have laughed." Blake calls an emergency team meeting off campus. No coaches, no staff, just players huddled in the corner of a 24-hour diner at 2 a.m. Faces haggard, voices hushed. "Someone recorded us that night," Blake says, showing them the video. "And I want to know who." Accusations fly, denials follow. Tensions rise until Tyler slams his fist on the table. "It's Kevin. It has to be." "But how?" Jason persists. "How's he doing all this?" No consensus emerges, just growing dread. The team agrees to watch each other's backs and confront Kevin together after tomorrow's practice. But tomorrow brings new horrors. Ryan doesn't show up for morning workouts. Texts go unanswered. Calls go straight to voicemail. The team splits, up, searching campus. They find him 4 hours later, wandering aimlessly across the empty stadium field. Eyes vacant, clothes soaked through despite no rain. "Ryan, where were you?" Blake demands, shaking him. Ryan blinks slowly, disoriented. I was sleeping then. I can't remember." The team doctor examines him, finding nothing physically wrong but recommends psychiatric evaluation. Ryan refuses, insisting he's fine, but his eyes dart constantly to the shadows. Practice that afternoon dissolves into chaos. Players miss assignments, drop passes, jump at sudden noises. Coach Patterson explodes, threatening to bench starters. Kevin observes from his usual distance, expression neutral. After practice, Blake approaches him with 5 teammates flanking him for courage. "Whatever sick game you're playing stops now," Blake threatens, voice betraying his fear. Kevin looks genuinely confused. "Game? I'm just doing analytics." The texts, the videos, "Ryan, we know it's you." Kevin shrugs. "Sounds like you're having a rough week. Maybe focus more on Saturday's game and less on conspiracies." His dismissive calm infuriates them, but leaves them powerless. What can they do without proof? That night, the harassment escalates. Every player receives emails containing their most personal secrets. Private texts to girlfriends. Academic, by cheating, banned substances. All meticulously documented with timestamps and evidence. The message is clear. Someone has been watching everything. Unable to sleep, Blake returns to the deserted training facility near midnight, hoping physical exertion might exhaust him enough for rest. He freezes in the doorway. The entire locker room is covered in writing, statistics, plays, personal information about each player, all scrawled in what appears to be Blake's own handwriting. He doesn't remember writing any of it. Blake stumbles backward from the locker room, heart hammering against his ribs. His own handwriting covers every surface. Detailed analyses of his teammates' lives, their routines, their weaknesses. Things he couldn't possibly know. Things he never wrote. He fumbles for his phone with trembling hands, snapping photos as evidence before fleeing into the night. By morning, the writing has vanished completely. Maintenance crews deny cleaning anything. Security footage shows static during the crucial hours. Blake's photos remain the only evidence. And when he shows them to the team, their fragile unity shatters. "That's your handwriting," Tyler accuses, backing away from Blake. "What the hell, man? I didn't write that. Someone's setting me up." Blake's protests fall on deaf ears. The team fractures into suspicious factions, no one trusting anyone else. Jason, the quietest of the group, finally speaks up. "It's not just Blake. It's not just Kevin. Something's wrong with this whole place." He reveals what he's discovered after 3 sleepless nights researching online. Kevin Chen isn't just some random nerd. He transferred to Westlake after a mysterious incident at MIT, where he was studying advanced computer science and behavioral psychology before abruptly leaving mid-semester. Records sealed. No explanation. More disturbing, Jason has uncovered an old campus legend about Westlake's stadium, built on land where an asylum once stood before a fire killed dozens of patients in the 1940s. Patients who reportedly suffered from delusions of being watched, of losing time, of writing things they couldn't remember. That's just ghost story bullshit," Tyler scoffs, but his voice lacks conviction. "Is it?" Jason counters. "When's the last time any of us had a normal night's sleep? When's the last time we felt alone?" The team falls silent, each player remembering the growing sense of being observed even in private moments, the constant sensation of another presence just beyond peripheral vision. Ryan, still shaken from his missing hours, suggests they confront Kevin directly. All of them together. Safety in numbers. They find him in the library, surrounded by ancient campus archives rather than his usual statistical models. "We need to talk," Blake demands, voice quavering despite the 7 teammates backing him. Kevin closes the dusty tome, slowly. "I was wondering when you'd figure it out." "Figure what out?" Tyler demands. "That I'm not working alone. I never was." Kevin's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Did you really think I could do all this by myself? The surveillance, the videos, the writing? I'm just a nerd, remember? Then who?" Blake's mouth goes dry. "Who's helping you?" Kevin leans forward, dropping his voice to a whisper. "This place remembers Blake. The building, the ground underneath. It remembers pain. It remembers cruelty. And it found me the night. You pushed too far." The library lights flicker. A cold draft swirls around them, though no windows are open. "You think I'm the one you should fear?" Kevin laughs softly. "I'm just the conduit. The vessel. You woke something much older, much angrier than me." As if on cue, every computer in the library lights up simultaneously. Screens displaying a single image. The team surrounding Kevin that night. Faces twisted in cruelty. Frozen in digital amber. Blake backs away. "You're insane." "No." Kevin sighs. "Just observant. And patient. Unlike my new friends." The players retreat. Plans of confrontation abandoned. That night, Tyler doesn't return to the dorm. Campus security finds his phone on the 50-yard line of the darkened stadium, still recording. On the screen, Tyler's panicked face as he runs from unseen pursuers, then static, then nothing. Tyler's disappearance breaks the final thread of normalcy. Coach Patterson involves campus police, who treat it as another college kid gone AWOL. They don't understand. None of them do. The remaining players gather in Blake's off-campus apartment, windows locked, blinds drawn, jumping at every creak and shadow. "We have to find Tyler," Blake insists, pacing like a caged animal. His eyes are bloodshot from days without proper sleep. How?" Jason demands. "We don't even know what we're dealing with." Ryan, who hasn't spoken much since his own experience, suddenly straightens. "The stadium. He's in the stadium." "How do you know?" "Because that's where they took me." Ryan's voice trembles. "The basement level. There are rooms down there no one uses anymore. Old medical rooms from when this place was something else." The revelation sends ice through their veins. Ryan doesn't remember being taken there, yet somehow knows, as if the memory existed in his body, but not his mind. Blake makes the decision for all of them. "We go tonight." All of us together. They arm themselves with baseball bats, pocket knives, meaningless weapons against an enemy they don't understand. The stadium looms against the night sky, dark except for security lights casting long shadows across the field. They move as one tight unit, no one willing to be at the edges of the group. The basement access door stands ajar, though campus regulations require it to be locked at all times. A faint humming emanates from below, like distant voices chanting in unison. The stairwell descends into darkness that their phone flashlights barely penetrate. "I don't like this," Jason whispers. "We should call the real cops." "And tell them." "What?" Blake hisses back. "That the stadium is haunted? That Kevin's channeling ghosts? They'll have us committed." The basement corridor stretches before them, lined with doors to storage rooms, old medical facilities, mechanical spaces. Most are locked, but one door stands open, harsh fluorescent light spilling into the hallway. The humming grows louder. They approach cautiously, baseball bats raised. Inside, they find Tyler sitting perfectly still in a metal chair, staring blankly at a wall covered in the same kind of writing that appeared in the locker room. Only now, Blake recognizes it's not his handwriting. It's Tyler's. "Tyler?" Blake approaches slowly. "Hey man, we're here to take you home." Tyler doesn't respond, doesn't blink. His breathing is shallow, his skin waxy under the fluorescent glare. He's been like this for hours. Kevin's voice comes from behind them. They whirl around to find him blocking the doorway, expression unreadable behind his glasses. Just writing, then sitting, then writing more. What did you do to him? Ryan demands. Me? Nothing. Kevin steps aside, gesturing down the hallway. But they've been waiting to show you something. At the end of the corridor, a door swings open on its own. Darkness pulses from within like a living thing. What's in there? Blake's voice cracks. Your turn to find out? Kevin smiles thinly. They've prepared something special for each of you. Customized, you might say, based on your particular cruelties. One by one, they hear their names whispered from the darkness, each in what sounds like their own voices, but hollow, wrong. Somehow, Jason breaks first, sprinting toward the stairs. He makes it 3 steps before the lights go out completely. Their phone flashlights die simultaneously. In the perfect darkness, they hear Jason scream, then silence. When emergency lights flicker on seconds later, Jason is gone. Who's next? Kevin asks pleasantly, as if offering dessert options. The remaining players run in different directions, panic overriding logic. Blake finds himself alone, charging blindly down twisting corridors that shouldn't exist in the stadium's blueprint. The walls seem to shift around him, leading him deeper no matter which way he turns. He rounds a corner and collides with something solid. Kevin stands before him, expression calm. Do you finally get it now? Kevin whispers. Morning light filters through the windows of Coach Patterson's office as he stares in disbelief at Blake, Tyler, Jason, and Ryan. Their faces are ashen, eyes haunted by something he can't comprehend. Behind them, the entire offensive line and half the defense wait silently, equipment bags already packed. What do you mean you're quitting? All of you? Mid-season? Coach struggles to control his voice. This is about last night's disappearing act, isn't it? Campus security found you all sleeping in the stadium basement for Christ's sake. The players exchange glances but say nothing about what really happened in those underground corridors. How could they explain the rooms that shouldn't exist? The voices that called their names? The visions each experienced. Personalized nightmares forcing them to feel the isolation, the humiliation, the helplessness they had inflicted on Kevin for months. They remember waking up on the cold concrete floor at dawn, huddled together like frightened children. No sign of Kevin, no evidence of anything supernatural. Just the lingering certainty that something fundamental had shifted in the world's natural order. We're done, Coach, Blake finally says, voice hollow. Transfer papers are already submitted. This is insane. We have championships to win. Scouts coming. Your futures. Our futures depend on getting far away from here. Tyler interrupts, the first words he's spoken since they found him in that chair. Far away from him. Coach Patterson follows Tyler's gaze through the office window. Across the quad, Kevin sits alone on a bench, reading. As if sensing their attention, he looks up, meeting their eyes with a slight smile before returning to his book. Chen. This is about the analyst? Coach's confusion deepens. What did he do? It's not what he did. Ryan whispers. It's what he is now. Coach Patterson stares at his players. These hulking athletes suddenly reduced to frightened boys. His championship dreams collapsing before his eyes. Fine. He spits. Go. Run away. I'll build another team without cowards. None of them flinch at the insult. They know true fear now. True powerlessness. Their silence unnerves Coach Patterson more than any argument could have. The players file out without another word. From his bench, Kevin watches them scatter across campus, some heading to dorms to pack, others straight to their cars, none looking back at the stadium that looms behind them like a tombstone. Days later, The news spreads across campus. Blake transferred to a small college in California. Tyler dropped out entirely. Jason switched to online classes. Ryan checked into a psychiatric facility. Others scattered to schools across the country, many abandoning football altogether. The athletics department scrambles to explain the mass exodus. Rumors circulate. Performance-enhancing drugs, academic scandals, hazing gone wrong. None come close to the truth. Coach Patterson pieces together a new team from walk-ons and bench players. Their first practice is subdued, cautious. No one mentions the departed players or asks why they left. Their absence hangs in the air like a warning. In the film room, Kevin continues his work, analyzing plays with the same quiet intensity as before. When Coach asks him about the former players, Kevin simply shrugs. "People leave sometimes," he says, "but I'll always be here." After practice, Kevin walks alone to the locker room. It's been transformed. His small corner locker now replaced with a spacious captain's locker. Inside hangs a brand new jersey with his name across the shoulders, a Captain's C embroidered on the breast. Kevin smiles, running his fingers over the stitching. The lights flicker briefly, a cold draft circling his ankles, though no windows are open. Kevin nods, as if acknowledging unseen companions. Yes. He whispers to the empty room that somehow no longer feels empty. We've earned this. 3 months later, a new semester begins. Fresh faces populate the campus. The mass exodus of football players now just another university legend whispered in. Dorm rooms after midnight. Coach Patterson has rebuilt his team around Kevin, now officially listed as Special Teams Coordinator, alongside his analyst duties. The remaining players give him a wide berth, eyes averted when he enters rooms. The stadium hosts its first home game since the incident. Despite a roster of inexperienced players, Westlake dominates in an inexplicable upset. Sports writers attribute the win to innovative play calling. Only those on the sidelines notice how the opposing team's star players keep suffering mysterious mishaps. Equipment failures, sudden cramps, moments of disorientation at critical junctures. Kevin watches from the sidelines, tablet in hand, expression neutral even as the home crowd erupts in celebration. The stadium lights seem to pulse in rhythm with his breathing. A week later, spring recruitment begins. Freshmen tour the facilities in wide-eyed awe. Among them, Marcus Fuller, a cockily handsome quarterback transfer with NFL aspirations, breaks away from his tour group. He wanders into the analysis room where Kevin works alone amid screens displaying complex statistical models. "So this is where the magic happens, huh?" Marcus laughs, eyeing the slight figure surrounded by technology. "They told me some genius runs the numbers around here." Kevin glances up briefly, then returns to his work without responding. "Hey, I'm talking to you." Marcus steps closer, emboldened by Kevin's apparent meekness. "What's your deal anyway?" "Too good to talk to players. I'm busy," Kevin replies without looking up. "The coaches will show you everything you need to see." "Sure, whatever." Marcus shakes his head, turning to leave. At the door, he pauses. "Just remember who actually wins the games out there. It's guys like me, not guys hiding behind computers." Kevin finally looks up, studying Marcus with clinical detachment. I never forget who's who around here. Something in Kevin's tone makes Marcus hesitate. A flicker of recognition crosses his face. The smirk falls away. "Wait, Kevin Chen? From Brighton Prep?" Kevin tilts his head slightly, recognition dawning. "Marcus Fuller. It's been a while. You're the one they used to?" Marcus steps back, color draining from his face. "They said you had some kind of breakdown. Transferred out mid-year. People change." Kevin says softly. The lights in the room dim slightly, then brighten again. "This place changed me." Marcus backs toward the door, suddenly eager to rejoin his tour group. "Yeah, well, good seeing you." Kevin returns to his tablet. Voice so quiet, Marcus nearly misses the words. I'll be seeing you too. Marcus flees. The swagger gone from his step. Behind him, Kevin smiles at the empty room, whispering to the shadows that seem to gather in the corners despite the bright overhead lights. We're going to have an interesting season, aren't we? The shadows pulse in silent agreement as the stadium settles around them, patient and hungry for what comes next.